Alright, here's Sig Test 3. Order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Must do what's inside the parentheses first, then the exponents, multiplication, division from left to right, and then addition, subtraction. So inside the parentheses, I'll square it. That gives me 5 minus 9. Inside the parentheses, subtract them, negative 2. Now that just gives me a negative 4. Multiply these guys together. Negative times negative gives me a plus 8. Negative 24 after I multiply those two together, and then just add them. I must plug in negative 4 for the x and the x. Square it. Times 2 gives me 32. Multiply those together. Makes it a positive. Add them. For the perimeter, I just label the outside. This one is y minus 1 because I had to subtract this little distance from this whole y. Since this is y long, that's y long, this must be the x because y times x gives me xy. So I just label it all the way around. And then you just count them up for the perimeter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minus 1 gives me the 6x. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 y's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1's minus 1 gives me 4. And then for the area, just combine all the like terms. There's 1, 2 x squareds, 1, 2 y squareds, 1, 2 xy's, and 2 little ones. A lot of 2's. Consecutive odd. So all of them have to be odds, and they have to be consecutive, one right after the other. So 11, 13, 15. The sum means you add them together. And that was too small. I'm going to guess 41, 43, 45. Those all added up to be 129, so those are my three numbers. Combining like terms, combine all the x's together. That's just negative 5 plus 10 plus 8 gives me 13x squareds. Combine all the x's together and combine all the constants together. Find the area. I just found the area of the rectangle, which is 30 by 10. Base times height. Triangle. This height is 10, and this base is 14. Since the whole thing's 44, I take away this 30, it leaves me just 14. So 10 times 14 divided by 2 gives me 70. Combine them together because I'm adding those two areas to equal the whole thing. Combine like terms. The biggest mistake I saw here was you went 5x minus 2x. It's not. It's 2x and 5x combined together is 7x, excuse me. And then I added 12 to both sides. Divided. And here's my little check. I just plugged in my answer and made sure it worked. Minus both of those guys. So I'm subtracting this one and subtracting that one. Then I combine like terms. Those two combine together. Those two combine together. Let's see. Subtract 2x from each side. And that's how I got the 2x. Subtract 24. So I got the negative 28. Divide by 2 and you get your 14 negative. Flipping it over. Just set up proportion, which means I have two ratios that are equal. 22 out of 35, 22 out of 35. Thanks, Mr. Lumberg is weird. If Delaware has 1,700 students in it, so that was weird out of the total amount. So this is weird out of total amount. And then you just solve it. I multiply by 1730 on each side. 1730 times 22 divided by 35. There it is. Adding 3 little guys each time. 3 little guys each time. So I subtracted those 3 to get back to here. Since I'm adding 3 a bunch of times, that means it's 3x. Because multiplication is adding the same number over and over again. And it started off at 2. And that's where the 2 came from. Use your rule, that guy, for figure 100. 100 times 3 plus 2. Done. F of negative 5 just means take the negative 5 and plug it in for those x's. Use the parentheses. It'll help you eliminate mistakes. I must go back to the order of operations, so I must do exponents first. So that's negative 5 squared, which is 25, times that negative 2 gives me negative 50. That would be the negative 5, and that would be the negative 2. Combine all those together, and you get negative 57. My advice is to write this down, and then just plug them in. Plug in 0. 0 times negative 2 is 0 plus 4. That's how I got the 4. Plug in 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2 plus 4 gives me 2. 2 times negative 2 gives me negative 4 plus 4 is 0. And I just did that for all of them. A negative 1, negative 3 times negative 2 is negative, or positive 6. Negative times a negative is positive. Positive 6 plus 4 is 10. And I just plotted the points. 0, 4. 0, 4. My x is 1. My y is 2. My x is 2. My y is 0. X is 2. Y is 0. Drew my line. So now, I changed this one because I actually had that one on a practice test. Same thing. Y equals squared plus 2 times the x minus 5. Just plug it in. I plug in the 0 and the 0. 0 squared, 0. 0 times 2, 0. So it's negative 5. You gotta like the number 0. 0, negative 5. Then I plugged in 1. 1, 1. That gives me 1 plus 2 minus 5. And that gets me negative 2. So I went 1, negative 2. Plug in 2. That gives me 4. And another 4. So that gives me 8 minus 5 is 3. And I just keep plugging them in until I see my parabola. Always make it look symmetrical.